Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I have used some fabric scraps to make a fabric keychain, or also known as a key fob. These are so handy and the clasp makes it easy to connect to your keys or your bag. These would also make a great handmade gift. So let's get into it. To make this keychain I used two different scrap fabrics. The patterned yellow fabric will be the outer fabric and the plain yellow will be the lining fabric. Of course you don't have to use scraps, just make sure you have enough of the fabric you want to use. I also used some iron-on interfacing for this project. This was used between the layers of the fabric to help the keyring hold its shape better. This isn't necessary, but I would recommend it. I bought mine for a few pounds for a square metre from my local craft store. I used a clasp for this keychain. I took this one off an old lanyard I had, but these can be bought for just a couple of pounds. Taking my outer fabric, I marked and measured a piece that was 3 inches wide and 14 inches long. I then cut this out. I repeated this on my lining fabric. This is what I had. I then measured and marked a piece that was 2.5 inches wide and 3 inches long and cut this out. This will become the band that goes around the keychain. Taking my outer fabric, I folded it in half, right sides together, and pinned along the long edge. I then repeated this for my lining piece. I also did this for the piece that will become the band. Once everything was pinned in place, I sewed where I'd pinned. This is how they looked once they were sewn. I then turned these inside out so they were now the right way round. I used a safety pin to help me do this. This is how they looked. I then pressed each piece with an iron and made sure the seam was in the middle. Next, I needed to cut out a piece of interfacing. I cut out a piece that was 3/4 of an inch wide and 13 inches long. With my lining fabric wrong side facing up, I placed my piece of interfacing onto my lining fabric with the bumpy side facing down. These small bumps are adhesive dots that will stick to the fabric once it has been ironed on, giving it more support and will also help to hold the shape of the keyring. This is how it looked once it was attached. I then placed my outer layer on top of this with the seam facing down. I then pinned this in place. Once it was pinned, I sewed along the long sides to hold everything together. This is how it looked. I then attached the clasp, making sure my lining fabric was on the inside. I overlapped the ends about 1/4 of an inch and sewed this in place to create a loop. This is how it looked. I moved the clasp around the loop until the join was about 1 inch under the clasp. I took the piece of fabric I sewed earlier to become the band and wrapped it around the keychain level with the join I had just made. I tucked the ends of the fabric between the 2 layers of the keychain. I then sewed around all 4 edges of the band. The keychain was now complete and this is how it looked. This was quick to make and I'm really happy with how it turned out. The measurements can be adjusted to make it whatever length you want. This method could also be used to make your own lanyard. Thank you for watching and I'll see you in the next video.